in English. Please.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro dancing with his wife Celia Flores in Caracas. An unusual sight amid gathering war clouds. US Venezuela tensions are threatening to spiral out of control. And here is Maduro appearing nonchalant and putting on a brave face before students.
Es viernes. ¿Y qué pasa el viernes?
Is it Friday? And what happens on Friday? And what we are going to do today? Peaceful Venezuela. Friday night declares itself in total party mode. Party, party, party. It's Friday, and I'm going partying, and no one can stop me.
Es viernes y me voy de rumba.
So, what could come next in the US Venezuela tensions? Let's connect the dots. Reuters reports that the United States is poised to launch a new phase of operations against Venezuela in the coming days. The report is based on conversations it had with 4 unnamed US officials. 2 of the US officials say covert operations would likely be the first part of the new action against Maduro. But at the same time, nothing is being ruled out in terms of the scope of action against Venezuela. Amid the impending US action, US Federal Aviation Administration warned major airlines of a potentially hazardous situation while flying over the airspace of Venezuela. As a result, several international airlines cancelled their flights that were scheduled to depart from the Latin American country. In fact, reports of looming action by the United States have been gathering steam in recent weeks since the US military deployed forces to the Caribbean amid worsening relations with Venezuela. The US Navy's largest aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford, arrived in the Caribbean on November 16th with its strike group. It joins at least 7 other warships, a nuclear submarine, and F-35 aircraft. A military build-up in the Caribbean has been underway for months, with US forces in the region focusing so far on counter-narcotics operations. Since September, US troops have carried out at least 21 strikes on alleged drug boats. In those strikes, at least 83 people were killed, most of them in the Caribbean, although vessels in the Pacific Ocean have also been targeted. Human rights groups have condemned the strikes as illegal extrajudicial killings of civilians. Some US allies have also expressed growing concerns that Washington may be violating international law. So why are Trump and Maduro at loggerheads? The Trump administration has been weighing Venezuela-related options to combat what it calls Maduro's role in supplying illegal drugs that have killed Americans. As per 2 US officials, the options under consideration included attempting to overthrow Maduro. Maduro has been in power since 2013. He says Trump wants to oust him and that Venezuelan citizens and the military will resist any such attempt. Maduro also sees US actions as a bid to take control of Venezuela's oil. Be that as it may, Trump is surely upping the ante. In its latest action, the United States has designated Cartel of the Suns a foreign terrorist organization for its alleged role in importing illegal drugs into the United States. The Trump administration accuses Maduro of leading Cartel of the Suns, a charge Maduro denies. Trump says the designation allows the United States to strike Maduro's assets and infrastructure in Venezuela. In August, Washington doubled its reward for information leading to Maduro's arrest to $50 million US. So amid the saber rattling, what's the scope of a de-escalation? Brazil, that shares a border with Venezuela, is quite concerned about the US military build-up near Venezuela. President Lula says he intends to speak to Trump about it.
E eu acho que não tem nenhum sentido And I think it makes no sense to have a war now. In other words, we are not going to repeat the mistake that happened in the war between Russia and Ukraine. To start, it only takes a single shot. To end, no one knows how it ends. So it's important that we try to find a solution before it starts. I want to tell you that I'm very concerned and I would like nothing to happen. Nothing. Nothing militarily in South America.
Nada militarmente na América do Sul.
Trump, on his part, is not averse to talks either. He has indicated a willingness to potentially pursue talks in the hope of a diplomatic solution. Maduro too says that the country's differences should be resolved through diplomacy and that he is willing to hold face-to-face talks with anyone interested. Two US officials have acknowledged conversations between Caracas and Washington. What is not clear is if those conversations could impact the timing or scale of potential US operations. For now, the situation is tense amid intensifying US military deployments in the Caribbean and Venezuela mobilizing militarily in response. Maduro's government is preparing for potential US military moves with a nationwide mobilization and prolonged resistance guerrilla tactics. This indicates its readiness for asymmetrical warfare to withstand US attacks. While US preference appears to be a political outcome whereby Maduro resigns peacefully rather than a direct military invasion, Maduro refuses to go. In these circumstances, here's what may happen. The United States may resort to targeted strikes against drug trafficking infrastructure linked to Maduro's government, escalate covert operations, impose more sanctions, and also support opposition forces without deploying ground troops. At the same time, talks and indirect negotiations could take place behind the scenes with a political settlement or regime change as the hoped for outcome by the US. But if the US were to attempt to remove Maduro by force, then expect prolonged guerrilla warfare, regional instability, and humanitarian crisis due to potential civilian flight. The Venezuelan military is considered weak but is prepared for asymmetrical resistance, while various armed factions and groups in the region could complicate any post-Maduro scenario with insurgencies and crime. So to sum it up, it is a tinderbox situation. There is a high risk of protracted violence and instability if the situation deteriorates further. A full-blown military conflict is possible, but not inevitable. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.